Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Small Business Live with me, Vicky Canham. I'm going to be adding Helen Nibbs onto the call now, and then we're going to discuss a bit about her business. And Helen is an intuitive business consultant, so I'm quite excited to hear what that all means. So let me just add her in. Up on soon. So Helen has been working in corporate America, where she's been a CEO of some multi-million pound dollar businesses, and she also runs two businesses. So hopefully she'll be able to come on live with us soon and tell us all about it herself. She's now working, like I said, as a intuitive business consultant, and she wants to tell you a little bit more about that and how she supports individuals in achieving their fullest potential. So as soon as she's here, I can let her in. Yes, it is absolutely freezing here. Mind you, it's not as cold here as it is in Oklahoma, where Helen is from, where it's, I think, 0 degrees or 32 Fahrenheit. So hopefully she'll be along shortly. We had this problem before, actually, where people couldn't join. So hopefully she'll be able to. Yeah. Oh, it keeps doing that. Ah, here we go. Hi, Helen.
Hello.
We got there in the end. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, I'm freezing. Just saying, it's cold here, but it's colder in Oklahoma according to my temperatures. It's about I think it was 41 Fahrenheit here, 43 Fahrenheit here, and I believe you're close to freezing. So
yeah, I think we're a bit below, but yeah, it's cold, but it's sunny, so that's okay.
yeah, I think the sun is out here now, but it's cold enough. So do you want to tell us a bit about your business and more about yourself?
Yes. Okay. So my name is Helen Nibbs, and originally I'm from Leicestershire, from South Leicestershire, and I moved to Oklahoma in 1998, and I've been here ever since. So, and I kind of got started my corporate career by accident, as you probably, as life goes, and you get kind of, throws you some curveballs. So I got started with that, and I was working in a real estate office and for a long time, and then I was just like, okay. And then I got the opportunity from a lady I used to work with. She's like, hey, come and work with me over here. So I did, and then I kind of worked my way up, and I ended up actually being the CEO there in the end.
Wow.
And I was the CEO there for 9 years, and it was two multi-million-dollar companies. One kind of owned the other, and it was, and each had a board of directors, and it was a membership association, actually. So it's dealing with members and all their needs, and doing all of that. So yes, totally got into it by accident, and that's kind of where I ended up. But I was also doing, which was a full-time job, but I was also doing some stuff on the side, which was more of the spiritual side of things. So I've been a Reiki master since about 2000, and so and was doing a lot of intuitive readings and intuitive stuff. And even though that's kind of who you are and you bring that to your day job, if you will, it was just, I got to the point where I was like, how can I incorporate these two things more holistically, more fully, and less having the kind of, by day and by night kind of, thing. How can I bring these two things together? And I see that's a challenge for so many people. They've got these, I'm good at this, but then I also do this. It's like, how can you bring it together? Because I think when we bring all of our gifts together, then we become like even more powerful, even more effective, even happier, really. It's just all the things just snap into alignment. So I was like, how can I do this? So I did leave that job a couple of years ago and set up my own business as an intuitive consultant. So I'm like, it's the best of both worlds, if you will. I'm like, how can I bring this together? Because, talking to people, about their business, it's like I can intuitively, sense, see, feel, all the rest of it. what would perhaps be not the answer, because only people can find their own, but it's like, how can they perhaps get around a block, a barrier? How can they perhaps see things from a different perspective? And how could that shift things for them? So really, that's what I do.
How do you do that? Because that's really beyond my type of experience. So it's just interested to understand how that works, how you would do that.
Okay, so for example, I know we always talk about businesses like they're a separate entity, but really they're people, you know? So when you're talking about a business and it's people, it's like, how do your teams work together? Do they work together?
Mm-hmm.
And how could you get your people working more effectively together? What are the real barriers? And so this is kind of where I start to see and feel into what may be holding people back, what's holding people up, where their strengths may be, where, you know, where perhaps their strengths aren't, and can we readjust their position? Can we readjust what they're doing? Can we find a better slot for people? And I think that's why I had a good job with staff retention, because I would shuffle people around. It's just like, okay, so you're doing this, but you know, but you're really good about working with people. How about you do this instead? And we like find something else, and we grow people that way. So, so when it comes to like going into a business, for example, okay, so I just worked with this small growing business just north of me the other day. Okay, so they've been in business for like 20 years, and they've kind of grown it to the point that they could, but then they couldn't really see a way forward. They're like, how do we do this? So just talk to people about, so for them, I was just talking to them about where would they really want to go and what's holding them back. And then I can just really sense into perhaps some solutions for them. It's just like, have you tried this? And then bringing other things in. And I just like to think of myself as like, you know, an artist with a palette. So you got all the colors on the palette. It's like, how can we bring them all in? So, so it's not just going to be a corporate solution for me that I'm going to bring. So, for example, for them, going into their space, into their studio space, it sounds silly, but like even their front door wouldn't open easily or fully. And so I love feng shui, love it. Wouldn't say I was a pro, but I will be able to tell you some things. So I was just like, hey, for example, coming into your space, the fact that your front door doesn't open fully and well, that limits the energy and everything coming into your business. And if you went into the kitchen, okay, so if you do more of the simplified form of feng shui, the far left corner of your home or business is the wealth corner. So going in, well, that was their kitchen area, but the sink didn't work. The plumbing was gone, and I'm like, okay, so you don't have a flow of energy going on in this corner. There's no wealth coming. There's no wealth flowing. So what can we do here? So it's just like, hey, maybe we get a handyman come in. Maybe it fixes the front door. Maybe it fixes a couple of other things I had going on. But maybe we work on the kitchen area too and get that going, because you know what it's like when you walk into a place where everything is functioning as it should. Everything is clean and bright. You instantly feel uplifted. If you walk into your house and you've got piles of crap everywhere, you know, and it's just a mess and there's 10 things you need to fix, you're instantly like, oh no. So it's like, how can you uplift everything? Because I do think with businesses and with, you know, with entrepreneurs and with their individual success, it's not about just one thing. It's not about like drop everything and work on your email list and ignore everything else, because everything comes together. Everything's energy. Everything comes together. How can we work on everything all together to shift you forward and shift your energy?
That's incredible. And now you've now got me thinking, what's where in my house in the space that I work in. So that's interesting. Like, how do you, if you do work from home, for example, how do you separate the two? So if you were looking at one as, you know, you want your business, the far left corner of your business to be in a certain way, but you obviously want your home to be in a certain way. Do you separate the two, or do you do it both at the same time?
Well, it probably depends on what you do for a business, but if you're just working, like for example, on a computer, so you don't have to have like too much stuff, around you, if you will. I think it definitely depends on the space that you have set up, and whether you'll need to, you know, for example, if you're working at a laptop at the dining room table, you know, do you need to pack that away at the end of the day, or is this a dedicated space? And it doesn't have to be a huge space, you know, it's just like, could I make this space mine? Could I put something like little, you know, little bits of stuff that would inspire me, motivate me, make me feel good? And it's just little things that we do to set the energy and the intent in the space, if you will. Like if I'm taking, you know, sometimes we're members of Female Entrepreneur Association. So, you know, sometimes if they do a 3-day challenge, okay, so I will go and buy a new mug, you know, for my coffee. And I'm like, yes, this is great. I've got a new mug and I'm taking this class. And you just set the energy and intent in that space for it to be really fun and uplifting. And I think do the same, even if you're just working on a small place in your business. And it depends on really your kind of tunnel vision as well. If you're the kind of person who can just like lock in and focus, and you just could be working in the middle of a roundabout, in the middle of an, you know, nothing would bother you, you're probably good to go. But if you're the kind of person who gets distracted easily, and you're working, for example, at your dining room table at home, and you just look up and you see your kids' stuff everywhere, you see a pile of laundry that needs to be folded, and you see God knows what else laying around, then that can just distract you so much. So even if it's like the night before, you just like have a quick tidy up so the next day you're ready to go and you're focused, that can make such a difference.
Oh, that's really good advice.
Yeah, especially as women, because I do think we tend to think we can multitask, and we do try our very best, but those things are distractions. So it's like, how can I go all in and focus? Because especially if we're dealing with things like imposter syndrome, which we all do, and, you know, and whatever else, we will allow ourselves to get distracted, you know. Oh, I've got to focus on doing this today, but oh, well, now seems a really good time to, there's a cobweb in the corner, I'm just going to go over there.
A friend of mine calls that procrastinating.
Oh my God, I'm going to use that now.
So it's definitely one of those things. As a project manager by former corporate life, it's definitely a multitasking world for me, and I'm always working on several different things at once, so I totally relate to that. But you're right, it's a good idea to just focus, try and streamline and focus on one thing at a time. So yes. So who is your target audience at the moment, or for both your businesses, I guess?
Yes, and probably slightly different. When I'm doing more of the energy and intuitive work, that's really focused more towards individuals who are looking for that particular, you know, a lot of the time I would say it's a stepping stone to move forward, perhaps something that will unlock something for them, or give them like Reiki or energy healing, which will provide that next step of the journey, you know, and open them up to that. So that's that. But then with the consulting work that I've just set up and working on that, and I do have a 12-week program I'm going to be bringing out in the next few weeks, working more with leaders. So working with entrepreneurs and leaders, that's really where the focus is going to be more strongly for me in the next few months. But it's to really help people in those positions balance out where they are, because it's, you know, when you start to get that kind of burnout because you are either not balanced between, you know, sorry if you can hear my dogs barking, where you are wanting to go with your career, but you're getting burnt out, you're not really feeling aligned, and you're not sure where it's going. But you don't want to quit. You don't want to just go and work on a goat farm somewhere. You're like, I really want to do this. I just want to figure out how to pull it together without getting so burnt out. And so that is the goal. It's like, how do you bring all aspects of yourself to this career, to this life purpose that you really feel that you want to do, and to achieve it in the best way possible, and to bring all your gifts to it, because, and I think especially for women, there are some qualities that we innately have that we're not always as forward in bringing to the workspace, because they have been perceived as weaknesses. And I think they're actually strengths, and we need to recognize that. And it's like, how to bring it in a way that can be recognized and move forward as a strength. So if you are a great listener, if you do tend to be more, you know, more of a feelings-based person, that can be a tremendous strength. And it's but it's how you feel about it and how you present it. So if you don't just want to always be sitting in the back going, yes, I'm listening, yes, I'm listening. It's like, okay, so listen. And then it's like, how do I take that next step forward with this information that I've heard? And the reason that's better, because if you've got someone who's just never listening and they're always wanting to say the very next thing, they haven't picked up on all the background. It's like how to bring it forward and how to bring all the gifts together. And that's what I'm going to be working on with people.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one. I find a lot of the women that I work with are multi-passionate. And so that rolls up quite nicely with what you're doing in terms of, you know, bringing all the things that you're interested in and talented in together into one. And it's almost the opposite to all the bro marketing that's out there at the moment that says niche down, only do one thing, only focus on one type of person. But I almost find that doesn't work for me, because my people are like me, as in we have lots of interests and lots of passions. So yeah, that's very interesting. I'm sure that there's a great number of people in my audiences who relate heavily with what you're saying. So that's good. So about your 12-week program, when is that starting?
Probably in the next few weeks. I want to get it announced before Christmas. So yeah.
Starting in the new year.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Okay. And how do people find out more about that?
If they would like to go to my website, then I will be posting everything on there. Okay. So yes, or Insta, or Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll put all those details into the show notes when we're finished, so that they can contact you. Otherwise, I'm sure that if they send you a DM, they can get hold of you that way as well.
That's right. Yeah.
So looking at business, and because you have the CEO experience in the corporate world, as well as the experience of setting up 2 of your own businesses, what is the one thing that you wish you knew before you started your business?
Oh, yes. I think the thing is to think of it as a journey, and you really don't have to know everything getting started. It's just like, if you've got that idea, then just take it one step at a time and just go from there and just build on it. Because, even if you think, oh, I want to do this, I think just being open to the journey, because it's going to take you on twists and turns, and it may end up taking you in a slightly different direction than you anticipated, but that could very well be better, So it's just like, just start. It doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing. It's like, just start. And then take a step forward from there, because everybody has gifts that no one else does. I guarantee that there's a million things that you could do that I couldn't do at all, and you just take them for granted because that's just you. You're just like, oh, sure, I can do this, absolutely no problem. But I'd be like, oh, I have no idea. So it's just like, that's the thing. It's just like, okay, so we've all got stuff we can do. How can we do this? And what would be our initial goal? Do we want to help people with whatever it is, or what is it? And then just focus on that. There is so much material, as we all know, online. And the thing with that is it can be overwhelming as well, because there's so much and it's available all the time. And, whatever you Google, you can find 50 million things. So if you're going to sit and do your market research, I'd even say just like sit and do it for 30 minutes a day or an hour a day. But do it to get inspired, but not distracted or discouraged, because sometimes you can look at it and be like, oh, well, I was going to do that, but look at that, 50 million other people are doing it. Well, 50 million other people are always going to be doing everything. So, but they're not going to do it the same way you do. And there's going to be people that you can reach. And it's just starting from there and taking one step forward and just keep moving, even if it's slowly. So I would say when I started my business, it's just do that. Just taking it slow. And I feel like when I started mine, I didn't feel like I had pressure because I had a day job, so it was just like, okay, so I can build this, more slowly and not have the pressure. So that would definitely be something I would recommend to other people too. If you've got an idea, certainly start it when you're doing something else, so that you don't feel tremendous pressure, like, oh my God, I've got to have 10 clients this week, otherwise I can't eat anything, you know. So it's just like, just take it slowly and just build on that. Yeah.
I just heard a really good quote. I can't remember who said it though. Doesn't really matter. It's about there's no such thing as a new message, just new messengers, which I think
Yes.
is quite a good way of putting that there's you know, you might find 50 million people doing what you want to do, but no one's delivering it in your voice or with your knowledge and experience. So
Right.
that's really, really good advice.
Right. And that's right. And, you know, and even if, you know, you can see two people doing the exact same thing, you're going to automatically be drawn to one rather than the other. And that's not a bad thing. That's just the person that you are more energetically aligned to at that point in time. So I think that's always just a great thing to remember. You know, if you are talking to people and they're like, oh yeah, I like what you're saying, but I don't know if I want to work with you, that's fine, because they're not the best fit for you and you're not the best fit for them. And just be like, okay, that's fine. They'll find their better fit, and so will I, and just move on. So yeah, so I would say just don't take that personally. It's just finding your right person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That right person probably doesn't exist in somebody else's audience. So, for example, Brendan Bouchard is also a coach, but my audience does not exist in his audience because we're different people, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just trying, I guess, going out and trying to, well, after your market research, is being very clear on who your person is and speaking directly to that person, not to a whole pool of people who may be interested, or maybe a business owner, for example, they may not be the right business owner for you. Get it?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
You know,
So
and some people, especially like, you know, you said with Brendan Bouchard, like he has definitely achieved, you know, such a level of success, but because of that, some people won't want to work with him because they're like, I'm going to want to work with someone who is much more of a boutique kind of person, and is much their business is much smaller, and I feel like there's more intimacy there, and I feel like they're really going to be listening to me, and they're much more on the same level as me, you know. Because if you see like you know, okay, so Susie Orman, I mean, I wouldn't feel comfortable going, oh, Susie, this is my finances, can you give me a bit of advice? Because, you know, she's, you know, but I would go to someone who's more, I felt more comfortable with, you know. I'd be like, okay.
yeah.
So we just,
Yeah, I think the jump is so big from somebody who's starting out to where Brendan or Susie, etc., are, that it just doesn't seem real. So yeah, or like
right.
like possible. Me doesn't seem possible, not real. It's definitely happening, but yeah, it doesn't necessarily feel possible. So yes, that's good advice. If so, following on from that, if somebody was still in corporate and they were looking to leave their business, they leave the corporate to go and start their own business, what advice would you give them?
It would, you know, obviously it would depend on what they were wanting to do when they left, but and whether they could mesh those two things together to start with. So if there's something that they could do, even if it's a very much part-time, you know, thing, just to get their feet wet. Because I had a lot of people tell me, oh, well, you know, if you've got a hobby or an interest, you should never quit your job and make a new job out of that, because because then you'll lose all interest in it. You'll destroy your passion for it. And I was like, what? No. So I would say if you've got something that you want to do, try it on a very part-time basis while you've still got your day job. And so you free yourself up from that pressure and just get your feet wet with it. And then you can very quickly, you'll start to see where some of the kinks might be in your plan, or where some of the things might be. You know, you can kind of get an impression right away of like, whatever it is you do, like what equipment you might need. You know, okay, well, if I was going to do this, I would need this, or I might need a membership in this to help me, or I might need to think about, well, if I was going to do this, I'd need to go and meet these people or something. So you can just like sit and make those lists and just be like, okay, if I was going to do this, for example, okay, so say if you wanted to set up your own CPA business, so you could just be like, okay, I really want to do that. Well, that's a business that you would need a qualification for. So there's always that. Do you need qualifications, or do you need more education for what you want to do? Or so it's like, do I have the background and everything set up, how could I step forward into this? You know, if I was going to be helping people with financial advice, what kind of luncheons would I want to go to network? How would I build my clientele? How would I do that? And you can kind of step out on some of those things while you're still working at a daytime job. You know, you could just do 1 hour a night and do it. I know, I've done it, you know. I mean, you might be tired, but you can do it. So it's just like, how do you do this logically? And then just think, what would be, how could I step down? Could I step down at my current job? Would I have to quit all the way? Could I move to another position, which would be part-time, and then just step down? If you walk in and like quit a job and then go to do something which you've got nothing set up, you're just putting a lot of pressure on yourself, and it's not as likely to succeed. So I would say just step down gradually so you give yourself the best chance possible. Because even if you've got the best idea in the world, it's very hard to just like quit a day job and then have that be successful within the first week. So it's like, how do you step down? How do you do that?
Yeah.
It's just planning. It's just planning. Yeah. And it's a good time to talk to people and be like, okay, if I was going to offer you this, what else would you be looking for? And then just start getting feedback.
No, it's good advice. Okay, so one last question. Given that you have been a CEO in the corporate world and now you're doing the same in privately for yourself, what did you learn as a CEO that you could bring with you into your own venture?
Everything. Everything. You know, it's and I would say that to anyone, you know, everything you learn in life, you bring to the next thing, whether it's good or bad, you know. And I had both of those experiences, certainly as the CEO. You know, when I took the role, the company was in absolute, it was a mess. And so it's like, how do you dig out of that? And you don't dig out of it in a week, you know, but financially, staff-wise, leadership-wise, how the business was being run and what it was offering, it all needed a massive overhaul. And so you just have to dig in and start working on it gradually and start making those improvements. It's just like climbing Everest, you know, you don't just hop up to the top, you gotta climb up there. So that I certainly would bring with me. You know, it's just like, so it's the same in business. You know, when you set up your own business, it's like you're not just gonna just cruise on up to the summit. You know, it's just like, okay, so things are going to go well. You know, some things that you're going to try are going to work out and be amazing, and some things are not. Listening to people is always going to be my advice, you know, because when you think to yourself, okay, this is, and we had it was a membership association, so it was an extremely specific audience, you know, we were dealing with, and we had to provide services too. So you could sit there and think, logically, this is the educational class that they would need or that they should want to do because it'll help them. That may be true, but it doesn't mean to say that's what they want to do, or it may be the best fit for their business. So when they come back and just say, oh, well, it was all right, but then listen to that and then go, okay, well, what if we did, instead of doing like an educational class on that, how about if we pull together a panel and we pull in 4 experts and you get to come and ask questions? Oh, we'd love that. And then that turned into a 2-hour thing, you know, with people coming and asking questions and really getting answers to what they specifically wanted. But we wouldn't have known that if we hadn't put on the class that didn't do as well in the first place. So it's just like, don't think of things as failures and stop. It's just think of it as a growth experience and like, where can I go from here? Because people will let you know. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. That's really insightful, Helen. I really enjoyed speaking with you. Thank you for your time. And as I say, I'll put it into the show notes. But one last time, where can people find you?
Oh, it's my website is helennibsconsultant.com. And the same on the social channels. So yeah, so this is my second set of socials. So I'm just getting started with building those up. So yes.
Okay, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for joining us and sharing your experiences. It's been great speaking with you.
Well, thanks, Victoria. I really enjoyed talking with you, and I hope it warms up for you soon.
Oh, me too, but I doubt it. It's good to speak to you. Bye.
Bye.